Hello and welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be making some fried chicken with red-eye gravy. You're probably watching this for sleep, so I don't recommend eating this dish if you're trying to sleep because it's got a nice coffee kick to it. Now, if it seems like we have a lot of vegetables here for a fried chicken with red-eye gravy recipe, it's true a little bit. What we're going to be doing is basically making kind of a breakfast delicacy along with the fried chicken. We're going to serve it on a biscuit with that gravy and add some romaine slaw as well as some lemon jams. We've got a number of different components to prepare. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about this dish in a minute, but we have to get the chicken marinating because it has a long, basically 24-hour marinade step. So let's get started on that, and then we'll dive back in to the other components. To get our chicken started, we're going to do a marinade. This is going to soak up this goodness for about 24 hours before we fry it up. Going to start with some buttermilk. Pretty classic option for chicken, buttermilk fried chicken. Gonna do some hot sauce. I have some crystal here. Give it a pretty good dose. All right, let's add some mustard powder. And some smoked paprika. Good amount here. And then some garlic powder. There we go. Let's just mix this up a little. Get some atmosphere of Jupiter type imagery here. There we go. And let's just get our chicken thighs in there. Alright, excellent. Now this will go in the fridge for 24 hours. Alright, the chicken thighs are marinating in that spiced up buttermilk. Let's go ahead and get the ingredients prepped for the gravy, and then we'll do the slaw after. Keep those ingredients nice and fresh as we get into the final preparation. So this dish is something I got from watching an episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. They went to Austin to a restaurant called Foreign and Domestic. This was a while ago. I don't know if it's still around. I'm gonna go ahead and just get this onion started here. So the owner prepped this dish for Guy Fieri. and it looked so appealing, I decided to give it a shot. I've never had the original. I just sort of put the recipe together based on watching what he did in the show. I can't make any claims to any particular authenticity around it. But I can tell you that man must be a genius, because this is so delicious, even in my version. Just pop the skin off the onion here. I had to take a moment to laugh there, because if you've watched the channel, it seems like onion skin becomes incredibly difficult to take off as soon as I roll the camera, to the point where I'm like, I should just peel these off camera. But I was like, oh, just that little bit of skin left to remove. This'll be no problem. And then it proceeded to splinter into like 9 million pieces, like someone had taken a razor blade to pre-slash it. Ah, the joys of ASMR. But I hope you're on board for the journey and a laugh here and there. Certainly everything does not always go according to plan in ASMR video making, or life, and or cooking, obviously. We don't need much onion. I'll set half of this aside and we'll just chop up a bit of this other one. Alright, that should be plenty. Place this in a dish and set aside. Then we also just need a bit of fresh thyme to have at the ready. Just grab a few leaves off these sprigs here. Since I decided to do this dish and was prepping the recipe and ingredients, I have been craving it so badly. It is so rich and delicious, and then we get some nice accompaniment from the extras. Just really love it, and seriously have been craving this. It is a snowy day, or I guess perhaps a winter mix day outside. So cold. So the idea of this very rich, delicious, warm dish is pretty exciting right now. Don't need too much of this thyme, just a little hit of it to give the gravy some of that flavor. That should be good, I think. I'll peel a slight bit more of those leaves off the stems, just in case I feel like I need to add a little more at the end. Okay, there we go. Also going to need just a bit of garlic. Pop him out of his shell here. And I always do the pull the paper, stand up the garlic, just to demonstrate superior skill. So you don't have to do that step, of course. And to keep it simple and get this nice and fine, I'm actually just going to use a garlic press. It's totally fine to do. Usually I like to chop it up for the channel. Scrape that off into our little bowl here. Just make sure we get it all there. Delicious garlicness. Alright, we'll work on the slaw, but because this is Redeye gravy, we're gonna need some coffee, and I think your chef also needs some coffee. It's still morning here. Looking forward to this as a real brunch or lunch dish, but let's get another hit of coffee in the system and prep it up for making the gravy. Some beautiful roast beans here. And we're going to get coffee from a number of angles in the dish. Also some espresso powder and some regular coffee grounds that we'll get ready next. So let's do that and then start on the slaw. Alright, we need coffee for this recipe. And as I said, there's more than one way that we're getting it. Now we need to brew some, most importantly because I need some coffee. And secondly, because the recipe will need it. So I'm going to grind up these beans. And then I'll do a pour over into Mr. Gigantic Mug. So I'll have some for the recipe and some for me. And then we also use some ground espresso powder. And when I grind the beans, I'm going to also add a bit of the ground coffee to my espresso powder, and these will both go into the gravy. The guy on the show commented that the ground coffee bit is basically a texture element because it'll kind of retain that kind of feel of those grounds kind of intermixed in the gravy. So let's grind these up. The kettle is hot and make some coffee. Using a thematic towel, alien space diner themed, seemed apropos for a episode based off of diners, drive-ins, and dives. And if you're at all a fan of this or that show, you might check out my pubs, pit stops, and pull-ins video for an original monotonic recipe, which is a rarity. My filter in here. And let's add some ground coffee. Get a nice sturdy brew going here. And I also want to add a spoon of this to my espresso powder, which will go directly into the gravy. All right, and let's do the brew. Give you a better view as we do the brew view for you. Delicious coffee aroma. Definitely starting to get hungry. Just have a few more steps to get through before we can dig in on this delicious dish. Just pouring around the edge. I confess I'm not a highly scientific coffee producer. I always feel my palate is not discerning enough for these subtle differences in techniques. But hey, we should get a good cup of coffee out of this. And it's kind of a nice ritual to do the pour over. Take a minute where you're not doing a bunch of other stuff. We're getting there. I'm using a dark roast here. That's what I happen to have on hand. Typically what's in the pantry, medium or dark usually. Honestly, what's on sale drives a lot of that decision. Though I think I lean towards the darker roasts. It's been a long time since I've made this recipe actually. I don't remember what I used the last time. But very exciting to make it again. Alright, I think our coffee is ready. Yeah, looking good. And I'm going to pour some off that we can use for the gravy. About a 1/2 to 3/4 cup maybe. I would have liked to brew directly into this to avoid a pouring situation, but the cone filter won't work with the mouth of the measuring cup here. So that's our coffee. We'll set this aside and we'll use it as we build our gravy. Let's do a little 1/2 and 1/2. Give that a stir. And give it a taste. That's what I needed. Now we can get back to it. One of the accompaniments for this fried chicken and red-eye gravy dish that we're doing is going to be a simple kind of lemon jam. The recipe is called a lemon paste. It's basically just going to be lemons cooked with a tiny bit of salt. I have some beautiful, wonderfully smelling Meyer lemons here. And this is pretty simple to do. Just going to slice up one of these. We'll extract some juice from the others. And then we're going to just cook it down. And we'll process that. We get kind of like a jammy paste out of it. So let's take off the ends of the lemon here. And I'm just going to slice this very finely. Smells absolutely heavenly. Do be careful. I found kind of a flatter spot on that lemon to help hold it in place so it didn't roll away from me when slicing like this. And let's go ahead and just make sure we get the seeds out of here. This Meyer lemon smells crazy good. Just popping those seeds out of there. Okay, excellent. And I'm gonna go ahead and put those in my pan. More seed hiding there. Make sure we get those out. And I'm just going to halve some of these other lemons so we can juice them, aiming for about a half cup of juice. I'm going to go a little wild and get some machine help for this. And I use the Citrus Star juicer to juice these lemons. Go ahead and do a bit more. Perfect, that should do it. Half a cup. This beautiful Meyer lemon juice. It's a wonderful kind of complex citrus smell. So good. So our juice is going to go into the pan along with our salt. Going to get a tablespoon of salt. All right, and let's get this onto the stove. Okay. Medium-high heat. We're just going to get the salt dissolved, then we'll turn it down and simmer. Just get that mixed in a bit and give it a moment to come up to temperature here. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and turn down that temperature. And we're just going to leave that to simmer for 12 minutes or so. Alright, that's in a pretty happy place. Cook down those lemons somewhat. Now what we're going to do is put this in the food processor to turn it into basically an extremely delicious paste. So I'm going to do that off camera for a more sedate experience, and then we'll have a look at the finished product. Alright, so we have our processed lemon paste. Kitchen smells incredible. Some very good stuff here. This is an ottolenghi recipe that I'm going off of here. Like I said, I'm making this dish based off of watching a TV show. I've never had it. So I don't know if they had a more like sugary lemon jam, but I think this will be nice, especially with those Meyer lemons. Gonna make a funnel out of parchment here because otherwise I think this would be a disaster to try to transfer this to the jar. course. Had to have a taste there. It's quite tart and quite salty. Nice and complex because you get some bitterness from like the pith, but really good. I think it's actually a touch on the saltier side. It's really just about right, I think, for the recipe intent. I would like pull it back just a fraction because we're kind of having some saltier, richer stuff. And we kind of want this for the tartness, but kind of a minor thing. Overall, super delicious. You could do a ton of different stuff with this. Right, and if you want it to keep longer, it's a recommendation to just put a little coat of oil on the top, kind of keep the air out basically. But that is our lemon paste that we'll use as just a little bit of accompaniment to our final dish. All right, let's keep going. Okay, feeling better after that coffee. Let's get our slaw going. So in the dish that I watched him make on the show, he served it with a romaine slaw. I don't know how he constituted his, so I'm gonna whip up something pretty basic. Just a little bit of romaine, some carrot, touch of green onion, tiny bit of red onion, and a pretty simple dressing. It'll be a little bit creamy, but especially I want to make sure it has some bright acid notes because we have such a rich dish. I want to provide some contrast. This, of course, brings a little vegetable element into what's kind of very rich and heavier dish. So let's just grab a couple leaves of romaine. I'm not going to make a large batch here. We'll just slice these up thinly. Alright, let's just set these aside in our bowl here. Perfect. Next, I'm going to peel this carrot. We'll slice up a bit. Alright, top and tail. Try to make sure we don't put our scraps in the slaw bowl. Put them in the scrap bowl. And like I said, we don't need a lot of carrot. Not making a large volume here. I just take this portion and we'll cut it into thin slices to match the slaw, the romaine that's in the slaw. like, I'll go ahead and add the rest. We'll add a little bit of red onion and green onion as well. Leaving these a little chunkier, could go even finer, could grate them as well. But I think that's going to be pretty good. Our green onion. And just a bit here. Probably pretty good there. And last, let's get some of this red onion in as well. Okay, just going to do very thin slices of this, kind of matching the overall kind of shape and feel of the items in the slaw. You know, ironically, the cashier tried to charge me the cost of a peeled red onion when I bought this, which is quite a bit more expensive. But maybe, given our peeling issues here today, that's what I should have gone with, and save myself some trouble in the future. We like to do our own onion skin removal here. That should be plenty. Okay, we have our slaw components. Just do a little mix here. All right, so let's whip up a simple dressing for this. All right, we just need a couple tablespoons of mayonnaise and a tablespoon of white vinegar. So there's our mayo, and we'll just have some white vinegar. A tablespoon. Get that added in. Of course, use other vinegars. Use sour cream. I just wanted something that had some creaminess and some acid. The blend with the dish and give that contrasting note. Let's just do a hit of salt and pepper as well. And I'll just mix that together. The wind is howling out there. I don't know if you can hear that. Alright, just get that whipped up. Give a little taste. It's pretty good. A tiny bit more pepper. And just a tiny bit more of the vinegar. This would be fine, just making the salad to serve on its side. But because I'm putting it as part of this dish, I want it just slightly brighter. Okay, good. A nice hit of acid there. Alright, so we have a slaw, a romaine slaw, the simple mayo and vinegar dressing, carrot, red onion, a little bit of green onion. Just have a quick bite of the finished product. Yum. Okay, let's set that aside. And we should be ready to dive deeper on making some red-eye gravy. Maybe we'll serve this on the next monotonic flight. You can do a red-eye flight across the country. You have a stressful business meeting the next morning. Be a real pleasurable experience. What do you think? I'm joking, but also we do that. Alright, let's get our gravy ready to go. Okay, we've got pretty much all of our ingredients for the gravy. Brought out some wonderful pork sausage, got some butter, Tabasco, our espresso and coffee grounds, the onion we chopped up, the garlic, the thyme, brewed coffee, have some paprika at the ready, and I also have some flour, the butter and flour for our roux. Help thicken up that gravy. And then we do need some milk as well, a creamy part of our gravy. So let's just pour out a couple cups of that now. And we should be all set to cook. Alright, we've got the pan on the stove. Let's get some oil in there. Just a bit to start our onions. Then we'll get plenty of fat from the sausage and butter. So we're basically going to start the onions, brown the sausage, then we'll build our roux in the sauce, then add our milk and coffee. Let's put in our chopped onions. Just gonna cook these to take the rawness out. Not gonna caramelize them. We'll start cooking them and then add in the sausage. My pan got pretty hot there. Just pulling off the heat for a moment. Didn't want to cook these too fast. Right, I think we can add our sausage now. Get this luscious pork mixture into our pan. And we just want to brown this up. Get it to render the fat in the sausage. Break it up into smaller pieces. And get a little bit of that caramelization for some extra flavor. Alright, just breaking up this sausage and getting it browned up. And we should be good to do our roux. And we're just gonna do it right in the pan here. I'm gonna add a nice helping of butter. And as that starts to melt, we'll add in our flour. And we're going to cook the butter and flour together along with that sausage and onion, aiming for just a light brown roux. This will help thicken the sauce when we add the milk. That is looking pretty good, so we should be able to add in the milk. The milk providing the overall liquid volume, along with a bit of that brewed coffee. Alright, so we're going to mix these together and we'll cook it. And the roux and the milk form our nice creamy sauce. And I realized I typically add the espresso, the ground coffee, and the thyme before I add the milk. Not a big deal, but that's how I would typically do it. So we'll get all of those flavorings added. Also have that minced garlic, add the garlic note to our gravy here. Get everything mixed together and we'll just let this kind of cook a bit to thicken up. And now we'll also add in our brewed coffee. Help keep us up all night. Alright, so we've got that coffee in there. Starting to smell really good. And I just want to cook this a bit to thicken it up some. Also gonna add in some paprika. Stir to incorporate that. And we want just a little bit of hot sauce for just a little note of heat in there, pairing with the hot sauce we added to the chicken marinade. Let's give a little kick here. Alright, this gravy has come together nicely, rich, beautiful aroma. It's going to be so good. Alright, turn down the heat. We're in a pretty good place. Let's give it a taste. Pretty luscious stuff. I think we are good to go. Alright, last step here before frying. We need to make our dredge. So it's gonna be flour and then some garlic powder, paprika, salt, and pepper. So reflecting the elements that we've used in other parts of the dish. The garlic powder and the paprika. So some flour. Let's add some garlic powder. A hit of smoked paprika. To add some salt. Seasoning our chicken. And some pepper. It's a good idea to taste your flour dredge. You should be able to taste the seasoning. We haven't put any other salt on the chicken yet, so I want to make sure that there's enough there to give us the flavor we want. And with that ready, we're going to be taking our chicken from the buttermilk, dredging it in the flour, and then going into a pan to fry. So I'm going to get some oil in our skillet and we'll start frying up our chicken. Almost there. Right, the oil is heating up in the pan. This is oil that was used for a previous fry, strained off and saved. To be a little less wasteful when doing frying. And I'm doing a shallow fry here. Don't go in for deep frying very often, partly just dealing with all of that oil. But the shallow fry works well for something like this, so it's my preferred method here. Okay, our oil is up to temperature. The guidance from the show was about 350 degrees, and then 7 or 8 minutes to get the chicken cooked. So that's kind of what we're aiming for. We'll see how we do. But now it's time to dredge, baby dredge. I'm gonna dredge like it's the second season of The Wire up in here. Okay, we've got one last element. Everything else is ready to go. We're gonna fry up an egg to top our fried chicken and biscuit with. Just make an amazing brunch delight. Okay, it's kind of an aggressive sunny side up. I don't want it super yolky and soft on the top, so a little hit of steam. Alright, let's make our biscuit. It is time. Alright, the moment I have been waiting for. Have one of those biscuits I made. You can watch that video. It was a challenge for me, but a good look at trying to make something you're unfamiliar with. But have this nice biscuit here. While the gravy had simmered there, it was kind of on the heat, thickened up, I added some milk just to get it back more to the kind of level of creaminess and consistency that I wanted. Grab a ladle here and let's get some on the biscuit. Make sure we have enough there. Just touch up our plate a little. And now some of that fried chicken. Goodness, my mouth is watering. Then we have our slaw. Some vegetables and brightness on the rich fried chicken and gravy. And then the lemon paste that we prepared. Could use a lemon jam. And you'll recall I said I made this pretty salty. So I actually didn't salt the gravy as much as I might normally, knowing that I was having them together and that this will bring in a nice salty element. So we'll put a dab of that there, bringing salt and more brightness with that nice citrus, again as a contrast against the richness of the overall dish. And then, of course, to finish things off, our nice kind of crispy fried sunny side up egg. And that is our dish. Fried chicken with red-eyed gravy, romaine slaw, lemon paste, and a fried egg. And now the moment I've been waiting for. Let's dig in. It's good. I'm going back in, getting some of the lemon in there. That works really well together. Oh my God, I'm gonna go finish eating this. I can't wait. I'm just gonna go to town. I hope that you've enjoyed making some buttermilk fried chicken with punchy red-eye gravy over a biscuit with a romaine slaw, some of the lemon paste, and that fried egg. This is an amazing brunch, and the snow is really coming down, so this is going to be a nice little treat for me. It's very calm and beautiful with the snow, and this food is amazing. So again, I hope you've enjoyed and have a wonderful night.